huge bombshell in the ongoing Durham investigation into the 2016 election was dropped over the weekend. But if you don't watch Newsmax or follow Trump officials on social media, you might not have seen it. It confirmed that Hillary Clinton spied on President Trump's campaign, and even worse, in the White House. The report details how the Clinton campaign paid for a fake Russia-Trump narrative to get pushed all around. Joining us now is former senior advisor to President Trump and the CEO of Gettr, Jason Miller. Jason, good to see you.
Sean, good to be with you.
So let me ask you this. How do you think this lie impacted the perception of President Trump in the campaign? Give me some perspective from your perspective.
Yeah, and Sean is someone who is in Trump Tower in 2016, who helped elect President Trump the first time. I can tell you that literally this entire Russia narrative, the fake Steele dossier, this Michael Sussman infiltration effort that he led, not just of going into Trump Tower servers, but then also to the White House itself. President Trump never even got off the launch pad to be able to start his administration without this whole fake Russia hoax going. We wasted millions of taxpayer dollars, years of effort that President Trump and his people could have been putting into actually helping the country. So when you think about what President Trump did, even despite all these headwinds, is pretty remarkable. But Sean, I just want to go back to the basic point. Not only did they spy on the leading candidate for President of the United States, they also spied on the president himself from the White House. Is that not treason?
Yeah, it's true. It is treason. Here's the interesting point, because Trump was first impeached because of foreign interference when he was president, because of that. So knowing what we know now, how does that change this?
Well, it shows that the entire thing was made up. This was all coming from the Clinton campaign. What I want to know is Crooked Hillary went out there just a couple of days before the election. I think it was even on Halloween or maybe the day before Halloween in 2016, and attacked President Trump over some so-called secret servers that may have been communicating or having some connection to Russia. Where did that memo come from? Jake Sullivan. Why do we know the name Jake Sullivan? Because he's now the national security advisor in the Biden White House. Here's what I want to know. Did Michael Sussman ever have communications with Jake Sullivan? What was it that Jake Sullivan actually told Crooked Hillary? Did Crooked Hillary know that this infiltration was going on? I think she should be locked up. They were spying on President Trump the entire time, and President Trump is right. This is far worse than Watergate.
So, Jason, on a day like today, this report, I'm sorry, let's go back. Friday, this thing comes out late. Over the last 72 hours, have you texted with any reporters that covered the campaign and asked them, what are you doing on this story?
There's only one CNN anchor who I texted and asked if he was going to go visit Crooked Hillary when she was in prison. And that anchor at CNN reported back no. I don't want to reveal that anchor's name, just it might not be fair to him. But I was actually surprised he wasn't going to go visit Crooked when she was locked up. But no, the answer is I didn't hear from Stephanopoulos. I didn't hear from Chuck Todd. I didn't hear from Margaret Brennan. Didn't hear from anyone at the failing New York Times or the Washington Amazon Post. None of them. They were completely crickets.
Let me ask you this, because Sean and I were talking about this. Don Jr., he was demonized for being this meeting at Trump Tower. He wasn't indicted in the Mueller report, and neither was President Trump. So why does the media still pushing this narrative? This new information's out, and to your point, they're having crickets about it. They don't want anything to do with it, it seems like.
Well, it's the same reason why the media doesn't want to take responsibility for Joe Biden and the disastrous job he's doing in the White House, because they told the American public that if they just got rid of President Trump, if they just returned some sensibility and some old school grace in the form of Joe Biden, the world would go back to normal. Well, the world right now is on fire. It's a disaster, largely because of Joe Biden and either his weakness or complete ineffectiveness. But as we go back to President Trump in 2016 and 2017, we have a lot of reporters who earned Pulitzer Prizes. We have a lot of papers who sold a lot of product. We have CNN with their fake news ratings. They do not want to come back and admit that years and years of their unhinged efforts were all made up.
So what you just said needs to be underlined, bold, exclamation point. That's it. They are so invested in this narrative that they can't walk it back. That's the key, right? And that's funny because we were talking to Mark Halperin just a few minutes ago, and he was making the case that he thinks that, okay, the story came over the weekend. These weekend editors didn't want to necessarily touch it, but that some of them may pick it up and run with it this week. I disagree with that. Now, you've been doing this for a long time as well. Do you think that Mark's got a point here, that we may see some more coverage over the week, or do you think they're going to continue to ignore it?
I think they're largely going to continue to ignore it, or even worse, they'll go out of their way to try to say it's untrue. In fact, CNN just put up a story within the last hour from Evan Perez and I believe a couple other reporters saying that, well, Durham did have this filing Friday, but it's not what the conservatives, it's not what Republicans or President Trump are actually saying. So they're actually acting as the rapid response team for the Democrats, if you can believe that. And where is Crooked? You're telling me that none of these reporters have Crooked's phone number? They don't know how to reach her? Why hasn't Jen Psaki, when she's done circling back, put Jake Sullivan out there to talk to reporters about his role in this going back to 2016? Sean and Lindsay, this stinks. I think that Crooked and Jake Sullivan and the whole bunch had something to do with this. I think people need to go to jail here.
The funny part about this, right, is this is the Department of Justice. This is not the Trump campaign. This is not a right-wing media source, anonymous sources. This is the Department of Justice putting out a 14-page report citing what they're going to court with. So anyway, it's amazing. We're going to continue to cover this. Jason, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.